You're listening to the Droematic Show podcast.
Personally, don't want certain vulvas on them. So what?
It's kind of like you can take them off.
Cause I watch a lot of porn. I'm I never flipped it because yo son, that vulva is not it. I've never unvulved.
Do you know what's crazy though? I actually have aunts. I'm Dominican. Dominican Republic is known for plastic surgery, right? Mm-hmm. I actually have aunts that have had fat injected into their actual vagina so it can look plumper.
So they can have fat pum pum.
But you just brought up a good point because most of us know our first learning about sex is in porn. So that's where it starts. It's we see this vulva. Not you, but a girl. And it's oh, that's what I look like. Then they go to the bathroom and they compare. Now, it might not matter at an early age, but then as they get older, it's I want my vulva to look like this, or it's a perfection.
That's ironic because the first, I didn't mean to cut you off, the first girl that did not like her vulva was a white girl. To ever tell me the first person who ever said they didn't like it was a white girl, that's so weird. Because that's 90% of porn. It's crazy.
Right. That's
yeah. So we can't say that our bodies look like her body, but we just have that. I guess it's just that perception of thinking that's what it's supposed to look like.
No doubt.
But then we don't normalize actually getting in the mirror and saying, "Oh, well, what she look like down there anyway?" So.
And most of the time, you see a brown vulva, regardless of the race or ethnicity, is diseased. So they either have herpes or showing you gonorrhea, chlamydia, or something, and the picture is a brown person.
They do that?
Yeah, if you think go back to your textbooks, if you think about your schooling and when you learned about anatomy, the picture you saw was probably a pink one or a drawn one.
So the pink one is the fresh one.
In your mind, it's not true, but that's the imagery.
That's crazy. I ain't never know that.
And we're not the only ones getting it. Everybody's getting the same imagery. They're this is perfect, this is bad.
And it's so crazy. They actually say that the color of a woman's natural lips, on your face, is the color of their genitals. Mm-hmm. They say that with men too.
It's probably going to be the lightest it's going to be because.
I'm trying to look at my lips right now.
You know, the lady in the world.
Tan.
Yeah.
What happens if you burn your lips after birth? Is it the same?
What do they say? Drake's won't match.
Alright, check this out. This is J Dub with the Droematic Podcast Show. Welcome back to another season. We just broke into this conversation. I'm going to introduce some of our guests that are here. Well, I'm going to let them introduce themselves. I'm going to start out with Josh, one of our new hosts here.
What's up, man? Josh, Artsy Musa. I'm here. Just here enjoying the time, yo. This is going to be a great episode. I'm looking forward to expressing myself fully to these women and my questions about the vulva people. We're going balls deep this episode.
What's going on? I'm Angie Q. I'm just here as a guest, and I'm excited because, I want to be educated. You could always learn something new when it comes to sex. So I'm excited.
I'm trying to learn every day.
I'm Lolita. I'm a sexuality educator and public health educator.
Good evening. I'm Tanya Bass, aka the Southern Sexologist.
Oh shit! And she said it with the voice too.
Hi, I'm Tanya. The sex educator of North Carolina. She got some merch. Yeah. She got some t-shirts. Southern Sex.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Alicia Andrews, and I'm a public health sexologist.
Damn, public
sexologist.
It's a thing. It's real.
It's real.
Yeah. I'm working on my PhD in human sexuality.
No, public sex is real.
Public health.
Oh, I meant the whole health thing.
Public sex is real too.
Well, it sounded like it was a special doctrine that you had to go through for college. I missed that shit at Howard.
I took a little of this and a little of that.
That's what they say. That's what they say.
Oh, that's funny.
So, you young ladies coming from Raleigh, tell us what your mission is and what you're trying to convey to the public. What's your PSA?
So I'll start off, my name's Alicia again, and I kind of go by this mantra of be free. I want people to be free in their thoughts, their knowledge, and communication, and adding sexual communication in that. So understanding that your sexuality is your life. So if you can get a better understanding of that, as well as other people's sexuality and know it's not the same, and just start having these conversations like we are now, and to normalize and take away the stigma and the taboo of sexuality education.
And I think for me, I want us to be whole. Like, think about not just sex in terms of doing it, the mechanics and the body parts, but understand all our wholeness from birth to death. We're sexual beings and what that looks like and how it changes from birth to death.
And for me, I'm Lolita again. I was a teen parent, and so pretty much just my whole focus area is adolescents and college students. I grew up in a traditionally Christian household, and so we did not talk about sex at all. We got the Bible and what a virtuous woman was, and that was it. Yeah. And so for me, it's just important to talk to young people about sexuality and their bodies and sex, and just let them know that it's okay to talk about it and to ask questions and to judge. And I'm very judgment free. And also just to educate them and make sure they're aware of their sexuality and things of that nature and how it's impacted by everything in their life.
Right.
So being raised in a Christian household, like, do you believe in were you taught abstinence?
Right to it.
Were you taught abstinence? Like,
I was taught abstinence.
What are your thoughts on today, though?
To each his own. So for me, even though abstinence was pushed at me,
it didn't work.
Like, I'm not trying to hear that.
I hear that.
But I'm also one of the rebel children in my family.
So am I.
So I wasn't gonna listen anyway. Like, if my mom had to say, if you have sex, the devil's gonna crawl up and get you right then and there. And I would have still had sex. I still would have tried. Just because. So for me, I don't educate from that point of view. I always come from a place of intimacy and exploring your feelings and exploring your body and what's comfortable for you. Okay. So I won't say, well, you should have sex, but if you feel that you're ready to have sex, then this is what you need to know before you have sex. This is how you need to protect yourself. These are some conversations you might want to have with your partner before you have sex.
Because there's a lot of risk.
Yeah.
So back to you. When you say you stepped down and had sex as because you said you were a rebel. You were a rebel. I like words like that. So if you stepped down and had sex, you think you were rebelling against your parents, or you were just trying to see what that D was like? Like, what were you doing?
It was a little bit of both.
Okay.
It was a little bit of both, and some other people in my family had already had children in their teenage years.
Okay.
I won't say who they were because y'all might know them.
Shout out Jamal.
Listeners might know
Jamal.
people in my family, whatever. So I guess for me it was normalized. I knew that some of my family members that were not too many years older than me were having sex and they had babies, and it wasn't the end of the world. So for me, I felt like, okay, well, I'm gonna have sex, and I was like, and if I get pregnant, it is what it is. But then when it really happened, it was like, oh.
I think it's fair though that we all agree that abstinence is a part of sexual choices, not the only choice. But I think that households like Lolita's and even somewhat mine and maybe somewhat yours, when we say abstinence until marriage, like, do you know the average African American woman probably won't get married until age 29? That means no sexual nothing until 29 years old. Like, that's not even sexual.
I didn't know they was getting married still.
Well, yeah, they still are, but they're getting married later and later. Word. So you're literally expecting folks to not do what, if you look at it from a Christian perspective, God made your body to do this. You have a clitoris, you have a brain. All of those are part of your sexuality. So you wait till 29 to not explore any of that. To me, that's what's unhealthy.
It's a lot of dicks you can miss out on.
So when
or your own pleasure. You don't even know what you like.
Yeah, because they say you're not supposed to masturbate either.
Neither?
Yeah, they do say that.
Yeah.
So you are supposed to beat the shit out of your kids if you catch them masturbating?
No.
Oh, you're supposed to?
Why you masturbate?
I never did.
It's natural.
It wasn't in me to do it.
Some people into it. Some of them into it.
Yeah.
But there are pictures of babies in utero actually touching their genitals. Like, they're not fantasizing, oh, that's Kim Kardashian or Idris Elba.
Yeah.
But they're like, that's whatever that is down there, when I touch it, or they don't even know sometimes it's their hand, like, that brings me pleasure. And that's what we were talking about, like, sometimes we don't feel like we talk about pleasure enough, so we get embarrassed or shamed when we do touch ourselves, so then we start doing things in secret.
So if your kid's covered in cocoa butter, it's alright. Like, he's just going to town.
I mean, now there's a time, everything has to be regulated, right? So, like, you don't want them touching their genitals at the table. Well, I don't want kids touching their genitals while we eat our peas. But if you go in your room, you know, that's something between you and your body and your privacy. Some people associate it with shame, so we go back to religion. In Genesis, that Onan spilled his seed, they consider that to be masturbation, but it was actually withdrawal. So the pull-out game has been around since Bible times. So that's where some like the connection is. People will be like, that's masturbation, but it wasn't.
I should read the Bible more.
I didn't know about that.
The thing is, when you're taught it, like I was taught that when you spill your seed, that was masturbating, and that was a sin. But once I realized what actually happened in that passage, he pulled out.
Yeah. I actually graduated from a Christian university and they broke that down. There was one professor that was like very open about it.
Yeah.
And when we spoke about masturbation, he like completely went in.
He freed you.
And yeah, it was
freeing.
It was definitely a learning experience for sure.
It's a personal choice. Like I wouldn't condemn somebody. If you did it, you did it. If you don't, you're not into it. Yeah. I think we all encourage it in terms of it's something people want to do because you get to know your own body. But at the same time, we're not going to tell people go do this thing if it's not something they're comfortable with.
And sexuality is all about exploration anyway. So from the beginning to the end. So it's a natural thing, and a lot of people feel shy about like, oh no, I don't want to. What? Why are you doing it? That's nasty. Don't do that. But if you don't know about yourself, how you gonna want to have an orgasm? Yeah. But you can't even find it on yourself, right? So how you expect somebody else to find it? So you have to explore it. So whether some people do it more than others or don't do it at all, like you said, you just never felt the need to do that, but that was your thing, right?
Don't say it like that, like I was just slaying things. It was like I touched myself and it was like it's my own hand, so it didn't make any sense.
That wasn't appealing to you.
Yeah.
Right, so that was your thing. So in somebody else's situation, they were like, oh, I like my hand. Because my hand knows where to touch myself. Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we can't talk about it though.
You know, I didn't realize.
No, I'm just kidding.
I didn't realize that song was about that until I got older and realized what she was saying, and I'm like, oh snap, she's definitely. It's not about a man; it's about herself.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? The Legend Live?
Oh, you know, that was
that's about a vibrator.
That's not true.
They said it was about a vibrator.
The electric slide was about a vibrator.
Yeah.
No, they rumored that. The writer was like,
oh, which it kind of makes sense. Yeah. I was excited for that new story.
Me too. Boogie woogie.
So where does the North Carolina Sexual Health Conference base itself out of? How far out do you try to move your message and communicate with people?
Yeah. So we started out. Yeah, I birthed that thing in 2016. Wow. So it'll be 3 years old. We had, labor was intense. Labor was intense. Because the thing is, we started out, and I think I mentioned earlier that we have silos of work in the state. So we have schools who the health and PE teachers do their best, some, at teaching sexuality education. We have local health department staff who do it through family planning and reproductive health, right? And then we have community-based organizations, after-school programs, etc. But everybody kind of does their own thing. And then you have HIV prevention, so everybody's like prevention focused. And then you have like intimate partner violence and dating violence. Nobody really comes together and say, okay, so how does intimate partner violence, the trauma that I experienced through a situation, either at a young age or as an adult, impact my level to connect with my partner? And how does that impact my ability to use condoms to prevent HIV? So all of it works together, but we don't always come together.
Yeah.
So I just thought we should just bring it together from the public health perspective, from a therapeutic perspective, and have this conference. But right now it's primarily for professionals. So we want the professionals to realize we got to talk to each other to help the community. So next year.
And another thing I think we wanted to get was having a greater understanding, a more broad understanding of sexuality.
Yes.
Because we just stayed in this little box, like you said, it was all about prevention and HIV. If it was sex was always attached to something that was disease and infected, you know, and going beyond trying to normalize that, but understanding like even though you may be a social worker or whatever, but you're actually doing sexuality education somewhere and understanding that connection, but also being aware of your biases and your values and making sure that those values and biases don't get in the way of you serving your clients or whomever that you're dealing with. Because like Lalita said, you may have, as she was a teen parent, you dealing with young parents, right? So if you having this mindset of, oh, well, you're supposed to be this age and you're not supposed to be married, but you got a baby and having that judgment, you're not going to get the best care that you need because of whatever that person's bias are.
Right.
So just coming together and just having I like to say, we like to blow your mind sometimes. So coming into sessions where you're learning about a lot of different stuff and then you're figuring out, okay, how can I put this in my work and how can I make my life a little better and understanding and reflecting as well as trying to impact somebody else's life.
Because you get all these different perspectives, so.
Right, because the first year we focused on a model that it's called the Circles of Sexuality, or 5 circles. So it looks at like the different 5 areas that make us up whole, like intimacy, sexualization, sexual identity, sexual and reproductive health, and something I'm forgetting, sensuality. And last year we looked at it more from an intersectional point of view, because, you know, being people of color, you know, a lot of times, like I said, images don't portray bodies that aren't diseased. When we look in media, we see like the colorism that plays out, body shaming in terms of shape and size, and what's sexy, what's not sexy. And so this year we're really excited. So we skip, next year we'll be really excited. We skip this year. In 2019, we're looking at it from the point of, I think it's pleasure, power, politics, and practice, because we want people to feel like, you know, we need to let people, we hear people say empowered. We think people already have power, so we just want them to go ahead and use the power that they already have to voice it and let it show out in their practice. And that pleasure should be at the center of all of it. So if I'm doing HIV prevention education and I say use condoms, I need to tell you about all the condoms that are out there, all the lubes that's out there, what works with what, so you can have the most pleasurable experience while still preventing the spread of HIV, instead of just giving you some random condoms and not talking to you about it.
Or even acting like just because you have HIV that you're not sexually active. Like your sex life is going to end when you do become diagnosed. Now, it may take a pause for the cause for a little bit, because you got to get yourself back together, you know. As people, that's
out of respect, you know.
It's a traumatic situation for some people. So, you know, they might have to regroup. But then after a while, be like, oh, I'm still on that I'm still on that cool. Whatever it is that you want. So you're going to go at it, okay? So just teaching from that perspective, understanding that everybody are sexual beings. It doesn't matter if you are managing some type of infection or disease, or if you are disabled in a sense, but everybody's still sexual beings, and they're going to want to get it. So we got to teach them how to get it safely.
Mm-hmm.
Explain to some of our listeners how the politics comes into all the P's.
So the politics are rooted in history, right?
Yeah.
The body autonomy that, in particular, anybody would be marginalized. So like people who might have intellectual developmental disabilities, not being able to make choices. Black women, in particular in North Carolina, the largest number of eugenics cases that actually happen in the United States. Not having control over your body, or just policing. So like, you shouldn't wear that, it's too tight, or why would you do this? You know, so I think the politics are things that are legislative, where we vote folks in who make not so great decisions for a large number. I was gonna say dumb, so cut that. Okay. And then also the policies that we have in our household. Like, I'm sure y'all had a policy, well, might have heard of the policy, whatever happens in this house stays in this house. Now, for me, that policy meant that if there were some things happening around sexual violence, like I always think about the uncle that you don't want to hug or whatever. Yeah. But if uncle you're not supposed to hug actually came in your room and did something,
you can't say.
I can't tell anybody, but I can't even tell the people in the house because they think uncle is cool. But you just told me not to say anything outside the house. That's also creating a place for people to actually be abused and suffer, because that's a politic of the household. So we look at politics from both, like how we vote folks in, and then the things that we create in our own families and the community.
Yeah, so you have your relational politics, and then you have your systemic and institutional politics. Mm-hmm. So even, I'm not sure who this young lady was, but I remember seeing her picture go, and she was a teacher, real shapely.
Teacher Bay.
Yeah, Teacher Bay. Mm-hmm. Teacher Bay got fired because she had too much booty, and it was too much. So those type of politics, like this chick actually lost her job because of her body.
That's the devil.
Like, so what? But the politics around what's sexy and what's inappropriate was the same dress that it was the same size dress they put on another model. I think it was a white model, and because of the body structure, it looked different. But
she had a body for
it. She wouldn't have been fired for that.
But you know what's crazy? At the end of the day, what is sexy? Anything can be sexy. I can look at a pencil, and if I have a fetish for a pencil, I can see a pencil and you playing with it, I could be like, wow. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, so now I get what you're saying. Like, when it comes to the whole political realm, it's like, who are you to say what's sexy in America when America's built off of diversity.
Exactly.
You know?
Yep.
But it came when those individuals who came over here to discover something that was already
were curvaceous.
They
the people that were here already.
Right,
The
they're the
Indians,
ones
Native
that
Americans, stuff.
couldn't keep their hands off of the natives.
Exactly.
They ended up raping them, but they were the ones that kind of set the standard of what was sexy,
Exactly.
what was appropriate, what was not appropriate. So we're kind of stuck in this Victorian Puritan era in the sense like, oh, you got to cover up, and if you don't cover up, then you're asking for something.
Yeah.
No, I'm being me, and I'm in my sex and whatever, minding my business, and doesn't mean that you have to put your hands on me.
This goes to like when Alita brings up like being raised up in the church. Like as much as I love Jesus, but I cuss a little bit sometimes. But at the same time, I know that the church is a place that also instills this policy and this premise worldviews about like
being
how
modest.
short your dress is,
Exactly.
and et cetera, right?
Cause like for me, I got my legs covered up. Like this is. I think this is kind of stem from the Baptist, like you can't sit on the front row with your knees showing, like cover this up, like they will come over to you
and when it
cover up your
such a sex thing.
Well, and then you can't wear pants. I remember a Baptist church that my mother attended when I was younger in Connecticut. That women cannot wear pants. Your dresses had to be to your ankles. You couldn't wear makeup nor jewelry.
Yep.
And we went there for about 6 years until she realized this isn't, my walk where I need
save
to
y'all
be
some money though. You'd think that'd be saving you money. They want more on that collection plate. That's what they say. They want to put that in the plate.
And I think that we understand and we all can respect that these are traditions and values that each individual Christian, not even just Christian, but religious,
any religion,
might have. So we're not discounting that, but we're also saying that it sometimes can be very oppressive.
Yeah.
And so until we're socialized to kind of go with what whoever raised us or how we grew up, we kind of rock with that until we're like, hey, well, I'm not gonna blow up if I wear pants in the pulpit or at all. Okay, So I think that's part of what we also want to do in our conference and in our work is to, when I say be free, or she says be free, is to really be free and knowing that you can make decisions for yourself and you can deal with the consequences for yourself.
Yeah. And like the far as you were talking about the politics of the household, I mean, don't you think that kind of where it starts at? Like me as a child growing up, my mom always had that, you can't lock no damn doors in my house. You can't close doors. How you gonna beat your meat? You can't close the door. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy. Like, so I'm like, as a parent, like,
I think I probably did what my brother did.
Now I can't beat my meat while I'm wet, my whole body wet. It's just a personal thing. I can't be just soaked and smashing. But I'm like, that's a whole nother conversation. I'm like, nah, my house was like, my mom was just like, yo, you just gotta find time, bro. You just gotta find time.
But if you think about it, if you were to take someone in that same situation right now, and in their minds they're like, okay, I can't do this at home because I can't ever get private time. But let's say they go to a school and they do get private time, then they get caught. Then that becomes another situation of politics. Right, you're gonna get in trouble.
I'm like, I agree with you, but at the same time, I'm like, yo, son, you know better. Beat your meat and get to school. It's never that bad. I know what I mean. I done had a couple of, I done had a couple of little joints in school, but I ain't never been like, yo, I gotta go handle this real quick. Nah, nothing like that.
You look at the pencil and like, wow.
I know, no doubt. She laughing like, yo, she knows somebody.
Well, I'm laughing because I think about being in the school setting, and so the dichotomy around men versus women. So in terms of masturbation, so it's typically expected that males will masturbate and that girls shouldn't do that because it's not ladylike. But then I think about young girls who used to sit in school, so who would move their legs or do whatever or move in their chairs. They were actually masturbating because it felt good to their vulva, but they wouldn't get in trouble for doing that because nobody would really know. They didn't have to touch themselves to actually do that, but they could move their bodies in such a way that it actually felt good. So it's kind of I don't know, I feel like if we don't talk about it in our homes to make it normalized in some kind of way, then we're all going to see situations.
As a parent, how do I normalize that? I'd be like, yo, son, between the hours of 10 and what? You can beat your meat. How do you, another parent, how do you normalize it? It's nowhere to normalize it. I'm a helicopter parent. So I mean, I always know where my kid's at. I always know what he's doing. He go outside, I got to peek and do what are you doing? It's too quiet out there. I'm one of those parents, so I'm like, I can be like, I'm gonna step off for a minute, let him get his meat right then, because I got
5 minutes.
Yeah, you got 5 minutes. And I'm back on you.
Yeah, that's it. I think adolescents and they're growing, I think what we have missed from our community is allowing teens or the young people to have autonomy over their own boundaries and their bodies. So to say, okay, one, this is gonna happen, right? It may or may not happen, but son, daughter, whomever, let's set these boundaries. We know that you might touch yourself. If your room door is closed, I don't know, come up with a little signal or whatever. It doesn't have to be the same.
At what age?
Black parents are not doing no signal thing in their household. They pay bills. They are not, bro.
But they should. Even if she can't get that.
Lita said, she just threw us.
Did your mother let you close the door?
She just threw us a signal right now. So we're going to step out for a minute.
Well, no, I have a 20-year-old and a 16-year-old. And so, you know.
Boys, females?
Yeah, boys. And so, we never really like had the talk. This is your private time and this is when you can do this. But I knew when it was happening. And I knew what they were doing because like it was like several trips to the restroom and you never heard the toilet flush. Or it would be extremely long shower. Or it might be like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's like, oh, I think I'm going to bed for a little bit. But then you get back up and you're wide awake.
Feel relieved.
We had the conversation. Like I've always talked to my boys about sex. I started talking to them about sex at 9 years old, just because I never had that conversation. I never had that real conversation in my experience growing up. So they were comfortable talking about it with me, and so I guess when they realized that I knew what they were doing, it's like, well, Mom, you know, this is what's happening, and blah blah. I'm like, okay, well, if that's what you need to do, that's what you need to do. You know, if I need you for something, I'll text you, or I'll come to your room and knock on your door, or I'll alert you and say, well, I'm coming upstairs.
You a real one.
Do you need something?
You a real one.
You need some tissue.
I feel like
My mom
I'm trying to let you know, like, I'm coming. So
you dig out.
That's what he said.
My supervisor, she has he's like 8 or so. And I think that she's like, I can't go get close to him in the bathroom. Like, he's like, no, Mom, no, I don't want you to come in here. And he's showing her, like, I want my private time. So she's like, I have a feeling like this is happening.
Right.
So I'm not going to push it. I see that if he wants me to back off, I'm going to back off. And it's just those little indiscreet little moments that they have. So I think she's the person that would have a conversation like, okay, you know, do what you do. Yeah. And even for my godson, my best friend called me freaking out because he discovered his balls.
Ooh, drop them.
Mom, what are these? She was like, Alicia, what do I do? Like, I said, hey, like, just tell him that they're his. He can play with them, just not outside the bathroom. Like make sure nobody's around, anything like that. Like, he has his own little set space. She's like, I can't. I said, he's gonna do it. So she kind of relaxed and like set his boundaries or whatever, and kind of pick out those moments. Like, okay, he disappears or he's quiet. Just kind of let him do his thing or whatever. So it's the biggest thing is like not totally overreacting.
Yeah,
I wouldn't overreact though. Like, ladies, like you being a parent, like give me a rough overview of the first sex talk. Like, what is that like at 9?
Well, the first sex talk at 9 is basically sometimes people like each other a lot, and sometimes they want to like each other, show each other that they like each other, and so sometimes they might do what is called intercourse or have sex. And that involves their special parts. Because then I was calling them special parts, but as I got older and got more educated, I stopped calling them that, and I started calling them the actual anatomical parts, vagina and penis. But at that time, with my first child, I used to say special parts. I was like, sometimes their special parts might touch and interact with each other, and that's how they show each other that they love each other. And he was like, oh, okay. And I was like, you know, some people are married when they do that. Some people aren't married, but they usually are grown-ups.
That confused the hell out of him.
It didn't, because he would, like, I've always had a conversation with my kids like, this is for children, this is for grown-ups, or this is for teenagers. When you get this age, you can do this. So we already had that kind of those kind of boundaries established. So when I had that conversation with him, it wasn't like, oh well, I want to do it now. Why can't I do it now? Just like, oh,
you did it now. Walk it.
Well, he didn't know. We also did not have that conversation about age gap. Between myself and him until he was like 12 or 13.
What'd you tell him?
Well, he asked me. He was like, well, Mom, all my friends said that you're like super young. Is that true? And I was like, well, yeah. And I was like, well, you're way younger than their parents. And I was like, yeah. He was like, well, why is that? How old were you when you had me? And I told him. And he was just like, oh, wow, you were basically a kid. I was like, yeah. And I had no business. I was like, for me personally, it was
Did it get emotional for you?
Yeah, it was tough.
Cause you sound like you get through it right now with your boy.
It was tough. It was very tough. And like for myself, I had a huge support system in my mom and my sisters and my brother, but everybody doesn't have that. Yeah. And I let him know, I was like, you don't have that because I'm still trying to grow up and raise you. Mm-hmm. So you don't need to do this because I don't have it to help you right now.
No doubt.
Like, I'm still trying to grow up.
See, like, I'm not a parent, but, like, obviously I can't wait to have a family. But I feel like as a parent, as a mother, I'm going to be, and obviously I don't know because I'm not a mom yet, but I feel like I'm going to be scared to, like, talk to my kids and encourage masturbation because of the fear of, well, that means you're going to go out and have sex, and I'm going to be scared, like, oh my God, he's going to bring somebody pregnant, or oh my gosh, you know, they're going to catch an STD, or, you know what I'm saying?
But
like,
that's
that
the
fear.
thing. So the thing is, yes, you are going to be scared. As a non-parent, best aunt ever. Yeah. It's this thing of like being able to talk. Research has shown that when children actually are able to talk to their parents, they are actually less likely to delay their first time even having sex because they know that they can actually talk to you and they don't have to sneak it. So when we say the talk, we talk about conversations. So like at this age, you might say, well, you know what, sometimes your penis is going to get a little bit bigger and it's going to be an erection and it's going to still grow, but it's just going to get bigger for no reason, like the wind might blow, and it's gonna become harder or bigger, and that's just that you're growing up, right? And realizing that it's actually more about them when they ask questions. Sometimes they're not really asking the question you think they're asking. They're like, where do babies come from? They don't want to know about sex. They just want to know where the baby come from. Yeah. Like, did it come from the store, or like whatever? And so you have to say, you know, take a moment, count to 5, and just answer their questions, and then say, well, what else do you want to know before you go on and give them an egg meets the sperm. And like, they don't want it. They don't even want it.
And even kind of going back to your part of encouraging masturbation, it's not necessarily, I want you to think like, oh my gosh, I'm behind and I didn't do this and I got to encourage it. You know, that's not, because they already think, oh, y'all are sex educators, y'all want to teach my kids how to have sex. No.
Because they already know.
Right, they already know. It's just
they see it
having
in school,
you
social media.
To be prepared for these conversations and these exploration moments. So if it happens, it's like, okay, it's cool. It happens. It's a part of life. How you feeling? Okay, whatever. Just like you said, just meet them where they are and just go with it. Like, don't. If you do this, your hand's gonna fall off. Like,
your hair on your palm.
Yeah. You know, it was just a TV show. I swear it was like real life. They had an episode on Grey's Anatomy where I don't know if we can say that on the show that was on a network about
it's gonna be on Droematic podcast.
But it was a situation where a young boy came in and he tried to cut his hand off because he was masturbating. Wow. And because whatever I think he was Christian, but his parents and the Bible said that he's not supposed to do this. Like, it was just the devil in him. Like, a teenager tried to cut your head off of something that is normal.
But the moment that he realized it was normal and that people had done it, even the doctors, it was like this weight lifted off of him, like there's nothing wrong with him. Because that's the other thing that kids want to know, if are they normal? Is this the right size? Like, what size is it supposed to be? Are they supposed to be even? Should they be this color? Like, there are a whole lot of things. They're trying to figure out their bodies in concert with reactions to other people. I always tell people that we have to talk about, we don't have to go in there and say, well, this is what happens when you're aroused. And then from arousal, you go to the climax. But you do need to know that if somebody rubs up against you, your body's going to respond. That doesn't mean you like Bobby. Bobby just happened to touch you and your body responded. But because we don't talk about our body responding, we think, Bobby touched me, it felt like this, I like Bobby. Or Bobby's the one who gave me this feeling, or, you know, something like that. So we don't talk about that we have the power within our bodies. That's the response. Anybody can make you feel like that. You can make yourself feel like that. So I think that's what we need to have, like, baseline information. Oh, I forgot. The thing about birth. So, like, when we're breastfeeding, so, like, if you've been breastfed, like, that's the start, too, of either being breastfed or either not being breastfed, being held, not being held. That's the start of our sexual development. So we don't even talk about that either, because people don't realize, like, what happens when you're that small impacts what you like and don't like, or might even want to try as you sit here today.
So does Enfamil fuck you up?
It doesn't, but like breastfeeding creates a bond. If you don't breastfeed, so let's say you're getting formula, the amount of times that you're touched and held, it helps you with your social development.
If you're like affectionate,
right? And your social development impacts your sexual. Like
so if they all people like yo, that's the infamil that got you tripping like that. Like, is it like that on like?
Well, when you're bottle fed, you're also most of the time you're held, but you have to be held for the most part.
Okay, so it's just important that you hold them.
Because
some moms, like some moms they can't, the child won't take. Like, so I know some moms who really just couldn't breastfeed.
And that's why when they feed them. But
we're not moms yet. We don't know. It's okay.
But they do hold, like, and you do the skin to skin contact and you hold them. Yeah. And so as we continue to grow, like all that stuff is where it sits in. So you're like, I don't really like hugging people.
Because your mother didn't love you, bro.
Not that.
Y'all making sense now. Because I know girls who crazy, they've been crazy their whole life, but their mother ain't hug them.
Well, it may not be them crazy, but some people crave, like they want to be touched. Like right now, I'm like loving this because I love like being in the net. That's my thing. But some people,
like there'll be too much.
So what creates what? Close. Like my mother hugged me too much. I want hugs, or
so it depends on you. So like some people who have been hugged a lot, they tend to want it and continue.
Okay.
But then because other people will respond differently, they might just be like, I'm good with hugs.
So if your mother smothered you kind of want to be.
So
okay.
I have a question. What is sexuality? Is it just a physical thing?
Oh, it's everything.
So that's when we bring up the circles. So when we talk about we'll take some circles. But like for us, intimacy, like the breastfeeding, that's part of that. Well, that was the model I talked about. So intimacy is one part of who we are. So that's like caring, sharing. Like that's why people get catfished. Because everybody wants a connection, and so people are like, how the heck do you get catfished? That you have never met this person, but you're seeking a way to connect, that intimate connection. And it doesn't just mean physical intimacy, it's just I'm able to share stuff with you and I have this trust and this bond. That's also that ability to connect,
that emotional
and
intimacy.
Love somebody. You want to join that one?
Sensuality, so that's pretty much about your awareness of your body and whoever you are attracted to in their bodies, right? So that whole gamut of body image and skin hunger. So like she said, this is kind of her thing right now. She's in this, right? So skin hunger is about how much you like to be touched and how much you don't like to be touched, right? So that favorite sweater you like that feel good, or if you that person that like to spoon with your partner, whomever. If you like that, or you well, that's skin to skin contact, whatever. Or if you're like, you know what, I don't really like that.
So speaking of skin hunger, like if it's my girl, like I kind of want to, but like I've nobody else. Like I really just like I'm just really like don't want to like right now with her. I'm like yo, I don't really feel like talking right now. Like I can't. Like it's just a lot on me with too many people touching me. So that means something wrong with me. Like
no, that's wrong because that's another thing that because of the labels and the boxes that we have, you thinking things are supposed to be a certain way, but everybody's different. Like their way, everybody's too many people around here that have the same thing, and it doesn't mean anything is wrong with you. It's just particularly your preference.
Is it masculinity tied into that too? I think it's more a men thing that we just don't want to be sandwiches. Kind of like
well, and it's if you go to other countries and people, and maybe you can even speak to this. Like if you see two men hugging and kissing, it has nothing to do with their orientation.
Not at all.
It's just a greeting.
That's Dominicans all day, or Hispanics.
But if they're like here in the United States, you would never really see two, I guess, U.S. born, bred folk or men holding hands, because somebody's gonna say, even the men themselves, or if you think about it, when you were growing up, you might have had like boyfriends, male,
don't get loud. Say
who are your best friends, right? Y'all fool around and touch each other and play, might even stay over at each other's house. But by the time you get to like 8, 9, somebody's pulling the plug. I'm like, oh no, you ain't staying
taking baths together and all that.
Taking a bath. Hey, no, I'm not taking a bath with my friend.
Once your meat can float,
captain shit, you
can't take a bath. Your meat float, you can't take a bath. I hug my homie if he just got out. Like he had to be gone for a long time.
Out of what? Go to jail to come back.
Now you got to go through something. You got to go through a real experience to get like a warm one for me. And like you just got warm.
Normal every day.
That's a normal. Like I know that's a doubt. That's what that is. Like if I hug you and your feet come off the ground, now you be violated. You just a violation. It's just an itch. If you hug a dude, his toes come off the ground, just an itch. Like you just violated. Flag with a play on that.
So if you hug your homeboy, it's just like,
I miss you. Yeah, you can't exhale. It's so many rules to it.
But that's the thing. Right. We think there are too many. That's another politics. Right, that's politics right there. It's like, why couldn't you just embrace somebody and be like, man, it's good to see you, brother. That's it. Like, there's like when that's why they came up when that was like the thing to say is like no homo. Or then that's derogatory to people who identify as gay. So it's kind of like, why can't I just hug you and be like, I'm glad to see you? But if dapping is your thing, then that's between you. You know, it's like we're not gonna say, oh, you should hug. But ultimately, the reason why we feel this way is because the society that we live in has portrayed like this is how you're supposed to do when you're a man.
Yeah.
So your sensuality is like this is how you express yourself as male, and this is how you express
and that's big with cultures as well. Every culture is different.
And like my brother, he has 2 sons, and I'm like, you're gonna hug them boys. You are not gonna, just because you've been tough. When I was like, they tough enough, they cool. And if one of them gets in trouble, I'm like, hey, go check on your brother, make sure he okay. Go give him a hug.
Yeah.
And pictures from they were 9 months, I have them walking around. There are pictures of them hugging each other because I was like, make sure brother okay. And they do that, and I want them to feel like it is okay to embrace your brother and to embrace another man and not feel some type of way because they don't even know anything about sexuality or attraction anyway. And my brother, he's an affectionate dude regardless. Like if he see our cousins or whomever, his homeboys, all bear hug, everything. Like he's just that person.
Yeah.
And it's nothing that's gonna, and definitely not gonna judge his sexuality or his orientation because he does that. That's just the type of person that he is. And
no doubt.
And make sure that we put that in my nephews as well. Like it's okay to show that side. Like that makes you a man in my eyes that you can do that. And
it's okay to hug somebody, but it's also okay to not hug somebody.
Oh yeah, especially this is the time
when you can hug your cousin or hug your not. You don't gotta hug your brother. You're alright.
My dad sent a cousin of mine to come pick me up, and I was like, "Who is this?"
Exactly.
Yeah. And he sent somebody over here. I'm not coming. Shoot, you gonna stay home? Daddy called me. Where are you? I don't know him. Right. Where? Who? I'm sorry. I'll see you next go. I'm good. Mama be home in a little bit. She at work. I watch TV.
Yeah. Why do y'all think it's such a stigma on homosexuality just in the black culture as it were? I feel like as me being a black male and growing up the way I grew up, our masculinity played a strong part in us growing up. Because when you came up hard, people would take things from you, so you had to be, because you didn't have a lot.
Yeah.
You came from nothing. You had to be extra tough because like this is all I got. So when you carry that through the rest of your life, you're gonna be extra aggressive. And when you're extra aggressive, we not really gonna be hugging to me. You know what I mean? Like, and I feel like that plays a part in it.
I think that I don't think it's the black community. I think the world is homophobic. I think that the world has a problem with homosexuality, and the black community is just a part of the systems that play out in that. But we get isolated.
I think we are worse. Black men, I think, are worse when it comes to
I think
gay
there's
men.
pressure
I feel
because
like
we
we are.
associate attraction. So being gay, just like you just did, with masculinity. Because there's some super masculine.
In Atlanta.
Men who are attracted to men.
Oh, I ain't saying they ain't. I'm just saying.
Right, but we assume.
No. I mean, I do in my head. You're right. 100%.
We think gay means soft, or gay means feminine, because that's what we have also seen sometimes too. I mean, when we talk about sexual identity, we don't know how to separate the pots.
That's how we compartmentalize it. That's how men do though. We just assume that it's soft. And we see a tough, that's just a strong gay dude. Like we don't really just, you know what I mean?
Like that's not a strong guy.
Yeah, it's just a strong gay guy. That's a tough like gay dude. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that most people around me, that's just the way we think.
And with women, you can't. I mean, when it comes to lesbians, they're in all shapes, colors, forms. Whether they're studs, how people say like certain women that are dressing like men, trying to be masculine, or the very feminine lesbians.
And I think that becomes problematic too, and at least in the conversations I've had, is like how if there's someone who's stud or butch may dress and wear quote unquote men's clothing, and some of the women that I know who are extreme feminists are like, you dress like the oppressor. Like you're dressed, like you show up in a space as female who loves another woman, but your appearance to me looks like what masculinity and patriarchy looks like. And I was like,
I know, that's like
even missing the point of that person wanting to express themselves.
Right.
Like,
so what do you do?
That person might like the Timbs and the big
bow tie,
you know.
Yeah, I played basketball my entire life, so I pretty much grew up with studs like my entire life, like all the way from grade school to high school to college level. And it was always like, you know, I'm never gonna forget my first day in high school when I got to high school and I saw who I thought was a guy. I was super attracted to them. I said, from a distance, I was like, oh my God, they're gorgeous. Like, I don't know who that is. Everybody's like, yeah, that's Dez. So I'm thinking like, yeah, his name's Dez. Until I went to practice. Matter of fact, I went to practice and I see Dez come in, and I'm a freshman, but I made varsity, so I come in and I'm like, who the heck is that? And I'm like, that's Desiree. But Dez got a shape up, and Dez got, you know, a little man bun, which I thought was a man bun with the shape up and a fade. And it's definitely with the star player.
You really found out Dez was Dez when you went to box out on the free throw.
Exactly. But I didn't know, and you know what I'm saying? But, and turns out everybody on my team was pretty much, she like turned everybody out.
But I think too, like your ability to say
practice.
that, to be able to say that you're attracted to, like I know that these are conversations I've been having lately. Like attraction too doesn't mean that I want to have sex with you.
Facts.
So like I can say, oh,
that girl is fine,
right, and leave it at that.
Yeah, because I would never date a girl.
Nah, we can't. We can't. It's rules. Like nah. We be like, yo, he get bitches, but we ain't gonna be like, yo, he fine. Like,
it's gonna sound differently, right? But it's like, can you give that compliment to another man?
Nah, I be like, yo, you getting it right now, cuz.
It's like, yo, I wish I was like you, dude. I wish I could get it.
I try to be you try to be.
So that's what, because you know, like females can be like, oh my gosh, like your butt like is amazing. How are you doing squats? What are you eating? Like I want to be like that. You know what I'm saying? But guys, you can't. Like if you're at the gym and you guys are in the locker room and you're like, yo, I love your abs. How'd you get that?
Hell no. Nah, because I was in the gym one time and I was doing a little pec joints and a white dude came and said, bro, how'd you get your pecs like that? I said, bro, don't have to look at my pecs. Again, like, don't reference my pecs while I'm working out, man. I wore a jacket the rest of the day. I would reference my pecs while I'm working out. Like, bro, how'd you get your pecs like that? Like, yo,
you have nice pecs.
Hell no.
You really do have nice pecs.
But it's strangely though,
she just shot you a clue, bro. You needed to step out for a minute.
No.
Your pecs are actually really.
But it's strange though, because as men, we look for it in women that can compliment other women, because it's a sign that you are confident within yourself. So as men, we look for that in y'all, but yet we don't do it. And that's so weird. Like, because I could not date a woman who can't compliment another woman, because I know that means she's insecure in some way. But as a man, I'm like, yo, I can't hang with him every day. But like, yo, Jay, you see that other dude over there? Yo, Jay, check out his stash. Jay, you gonna see that to himself, because I'm backing right out. If he ain't bringing this dude over.
If somebody come out fly like you about to step out, like, oh, bro, you know that's a hot outfit. But is that okay? Like,
yeah, that's all right, because I'm always dressed up at work, so we always compliment each other's shirts and stuff
like okay, that might be a little too much.
Yeah, no. That's a way. It's a way. Men gotta go by the weird way. You know what I'm saying? We just can't go. We can't go in like, oh my God, girl.
Oh, I go in.
Yo, your beard connecting on crazy levels.
Your lips are looking so full. How did you do that? Like, I'm like, I go all in.
And I think it's because of with females or presenting females is that the parts that we look at anyway to accentuate. So we're going to compliment it because homegirl put in that work to make them lips pop, them boobs pop, whatever it is.
Doubt.
So we're going to bring that recognition. And then of course, like that's not y'all thing. I don't have boobs.
I like.
I'm not worried about what your butt look like in those. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you do. I don't know.
Something.
3 times a day.
You're probably like, oh no.
At least I walk past a man and his cologne be hidden, but I can't say nothing. You ain't walk past and be like, dog. But I be like.
Well, I just did that at work.
You smell it?
One of my salesmen was in the car. One salesman was in the car. I was like, man, no bullshit. That smells pretty good. What is it?
What was y'all at though?
In the car.
Exactly. You can't say it in public. You can't stop on the McDonald's show. No, hold the line. Somebody smelling good.
Why though?
Why him like,
hey, ain't roll the window up first. Yo, I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. What you smell like?
You know.
What you smell like? Yo.
What is that?
I ain't lean over and nose him and shit. I just told him, bullshit.
I'll be.
Now I don't even feel right if I repeat the story.
Yeah. It's live now. It's recorded.
I feel like that's so okay.
My bad, bro. I know you listening.
They gonna point him out too. That's the dude that be smelling people.
Like, dude, like, oh, okay.
Well, he kind of like threw it off though. He was like, you know, some new shit. He probably kind of like leaned back to his side of the car.
I don't want to share y'all secrets. Like, what's What's up with that?
Nah, I don't. Like if I'm going to the club with me and him going and I spray my cologne, he said, "Can I hit that?" No, you cannot. We ain't about to be smelling like beside each other. Nah, you ain't stealing my.
It's the same as dressing a lot. It's like dressing a lot.
You want to try that? We're spraying each other down. In there, right? Like cherry blossoms together. It doesn't matter.
Nah. Oh my, you gotta invest in this smell, homie. Like, you ain't about to hit my cologne.
I'm over there smelling all hot and musty.
Cause he be using little Arab oils and stuff. Like he want to spray the Monte Cold. Like nah.
But I love what you guys really to like just wrap everything that we've been saying in a sense. Like you guys, just the conversation itself. Like that's so major. So even you guys having a conversation of like you just saying, you know, we got to talk about it. If I give a compliment, that's fine. There's no background to that because you're sure of yourself. I love the fact that you guys are emphasizing on that, on having conversation.
And just those conversations that you have with your best friend. You know, like we have probably way more intimate conversations with our best friends than we do with our siblings and our parents. If we can kind of transfer that information over to like everybody else in those pockets, I think we'll be a lot better.
A smidge.
Just a smidge, and we'll be able to accept certain things because we'll have my best friend, we've been best friends for 25 years or whatever. We'll say something that's going to get on somebody's nerves.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we're going to respect what that person said and be like, yo, I felt some type of way about this, but it helped me to realize X, Y, and Z or whatever.
That's important. That's important because that's something they don't understand about our culture. Just when it comes to people being hazed or joked. And our culture, where we come from, like on the back of the bus, we would joke you to correct your behavior. Sometimes it's not picking on you. Right. If you got them dirty socks on you, dirty shoes, your head, we saying that so your son, you know that's not normal.
Don't come out here looking.
And they come, it's not hazing you. But you know, they always make it try to seem like these kids are getting hazed and blah, blah, blah. Sometimes, especially in the black community, we gonna joke you in the back of the bus until you fix. Stop wearing that shit. Don't wear that shit no more. Like, don't wear them high waters no more. Sometimes they can't help it. You know what I'm saying? But that's what we fall short at. But a lot of times,
because even back home, like we are like straight comic. I don't know what it is, but we know when it's a level of joking, right? Yeah. But then you have some people that might not be as strong mentally, and you don't know, like you say, you don't know what they're.
You don't know what they're going through.
But it might be a little too late. So if you feel like, okay, this person might not be laughing with us.
You don't know.
They running off the bus crying every day. Then y'all might need to chill out, you know.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, y'all punks, y'all can't take this. No, they probably can't take it because you don't know what they're doing at home.
Yeah.
So it's about being aware of everything and understanding that what your experience is not going to be my experience. So yeah, we might be on the same bus or going to the same school together, what have you. But I probably had a pack of oodles and noodles to your steak and macaroni or whatever we had the night before. Yeah. So, or these pants that you keep talking about, high waters, these are the best pants that I got.
And they were my brothers.
Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. But even in the same household, you can have varied experiences too. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I always think about trauma and the way, like my mom raised us a certain way, especially I have a sister and 8 female cousins, and like how we handle like our period.
Damn, I would have loved to be your best friend. Swim into the family. Just close out the point.
You bound to make one shot. 8 shots. You bound to make one.
I will have to borrow your cologne, bro. You gonna let me shot that one, bro?
It's just amazing that we all grew up in similar ways, and like our viewpoints on sex, how like I started with the period conversation, how we even handle going through puberty, embracing our bodies, where we stand now is just so different, and the trauma that was experienced in my family. Like, if I wished I knew the stuff that my great grandmother and grandmother went through earlier, because I think I would be a different person. Like, I feel great about who I am. Those like some things I would have probably changed and not experienced had I known like the history of the trauma and things that are considered red flags in relationships. I might would have avoided that, but I didn't learn some of this until like I was like 30 or 40 years old.
And it's awful because they didn't have the conversation.
Yeah, could have avoided. And I didn't even know. And you're giving me warnings. Like, I think parents give warnings. Yeah. You don't have to tell everything that happened.
Exactly.
But like, give me some context to say, because I'm thinking you have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You compare me to OJ and Nicole Brown. Like, we don't have a Bronco, so I don't get the like, you know, this is the same situation. But if you give me a little bit more context, then I probably would have made different decisions.
Absolutely.
No doubt.
All right, check it out. We're going to take a quick break. This is some good stuff. And I don't want to break, but we need a break because if I don't, E will be on us about not paying any bills. So we'll take a quick break, come back. We're going to talk about some of that sexual etiquette in vulvas again. Droematic podcast show. Be right back.
Wow.
Roll tape. Welcome back to the Droematic podcast show. We're gonna close out a little bit with these nice, lovely young ladies. They did a great job with us. A lot of good material, a lot of good conversation. For our listeners, if you have any questions, please reach out to us. Before we jump into the segment and close out, could each one of you tell our listeners how to get in contact with you if they have any questions?
So I'll go first. Tanya Bass, aka Southern Sexologist, on Instagram as Tanya M. Bass, or you can follow the hashtag Southern Sexologist or ITSexEd and TanyaMBass.com. Oh, and NCSexCon.org.
Oh, and getitin.com.
Alicia Andrews. I'm not widely out there, but you can find me on Facebook, Alicia Be Free Andrews.
And again, my name is Lolita. You can find me on Instagram at a_black_girl_name_Lolita.
Good Lord. She was quiet too, and then until all of that just hit. All right, so give us a little bit of our listeners a little.
Sorry.
Can you let our listeners know something about the Raleigh conference coming up next year? What are your plans, or what can we look forward to, and hopefully we can attend it?
Yes, so we are working on space. Like Tanya said, we took a year off in 2018, and we're going to come back in 2019 with the theme of pleasure, politics, practice, and power. And we are welcoming all individuals who are in the human service, public health, educator field, whomever, who want to learn more about sexuality education. Right now the venue is to be determined, but I think we will keep it home based.
We're trying to keep it in the Triangle area, so we're not ready to branch out just yet.
The Triangle area, because a lot of our listeners aren't from this area.
Oh, Raleigh, Durham, North Carolina. That's where it's easy accessible for us. And we think that the conference this year, we're going to try to do more arts-based stuff. We're considering having a drag show. And one in the past, we've done like painting and discussion. So we're trying to think of ways that we can be as creative as possible to educate the people who actually come and get them to share their messages. We're looking at some panelists. We also want to highlight issues around sexual identity, like transgender identities, and also how race plays into sex. Once again, like we can't deny that. But then we also want to think about like what's going to happen when we go out. So we've been not involved ourselves, but we've learned a lot about kink and fetishes. And so in terms of the pleasure, we want to be able to bring workshops that really highlight kink and fetishes.
And the one thing that I love is that we are a committee of people of color, women of color, who's been in the field for a while and actually showing people that it can be done. We don't need major government entities behind us. Like it's just.
Although we'll take money from it.
Yes, we will. We will. Donations and sponsorships. Okay, right. However, when it comes to the coordination of it all and the creativity of it all, like this is all people of color, and we're really just doing this on the strength of our passion, which is sexual health and sexuality education. So,
we applaud that.
So 2 years, and we had about 400 people over the past 2 years. So.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And people return. Another piece that we're hoping to explore, which is new for a lot of folks, they never heard of it if they haven't studied human sexuality, but it's a sexual attitude reassessment. And so it's really trying to get people to understand why they might have biases and issues, and how do they work through those biases and issues around different types of sex play, et cetera, or kinks or fetishes. And so we're hoping to have it's called a SAR, and we might have that and really try to attract some sex therapists to come to present.
So like overly tough men might need to like, yo, if you need to go there, I might need that for real. I might need to get a certificate, man.
SARs are really powerful,
yeah.
And they can be triggering, but it's helping you work through like, why does that bother me so much, or if my friend, family member, or client is doing this thing, how can I just not be so bothered by it?
Because even some of those things you might not even know that you're bothered by it till you see it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I just had that experience last year with
What happened? What you see?
Actually, it was pregnant.
Tell me about it.
It was pregnant porn. Pregnant porn. Yeah.
Oh, you got bored, didn't you? You get bored after you start clicking on the weird
I know
joints.
nothing's happened to the baby, but the way a lot of the pregnancy porn is kind of like gangbanging in a sense, and so it's not showing. We met some new friends, King Noir and Jet Set Jasmine, that they do more intimate.
Pregnant
porn. Like they themselves are porn stars, and so she was pregnant, and they did their own porn to show like the more softer.
So do the baby get like 2 soft spots? If you like,
no, that's the thing. There's nothing wrong with the baby, but like seeing a gangbang on a pregnant woman.
There's something wrong with that damn baby. I can promise you that.
Man, so that baby gonna want no hugs when it come out. That baby.
So I think that's why they did theirs, to show like porn can still be intimate, and we don't, sex can still be great.
Pregnant.
It's just
no gangbang.
No gangbang.
For real. That's a sword fight.
Yeah.
Baby and then the sword.
Definitely right.
Now come to the SAR and
I knew they didn't
remember we said you blow your mind. That's what happened to us.
Ain't gonna be funny.
We got into our grad program. They did that. I was like, yo, sit down. You're gonna look at all of this. And I'm like, I don't want to tell you how I feel about it. I don't even like this.
So is it like a slideshow?
No, it was
sometimes it's guest speakers,
guest
sometimes
speakers.
it's videos.
Okay.
Like you might think they're highly disturbing, we might be like, it's nothing. So it really depends on where you are.
Real quick, just give me a random one that I might just be like, whoa.
But they showed us a montage of like scatting and urinating, so to go to shower.
Dutying on people, dropping a deuce on them. For one, like that's disrespectful. So I don't know how that's sexist.
But some people like it.
Like this
so that's
part
why
of
you
that
sit through it. You sit through
that
it.
can't be
like,
part of sexual
like
etiquette. That
and it's
cannot be.
okay.
But how you gonna reevaluate me that? How you reevaluating that? Like I'm never going. Like it's weird.
You might never like it, but it's like you can.
I gotta be acceptable. Oh, you do them in a scat. Oh, facts. What's that word? Facts. Right in your shirt.
Part that people out there are gonna try some things that may be beyond your normal and your experiences. So we have to learn how to fix our faces,
right,
and be a part of like, okay, you like this.
Tell me why you like it.
Why you like it.
So y'all really gotta dig deep in that.
And you know what's so crazy, like with guys, like how they're I'm gonna get real. A lot of guys that are masculine would hate to have get their ass eaten.
Up, down, show's over. Real quick, break this down. Sexual etiquette, one at a time. We're done. Close this out.
But that makes sense though, because some guys would be against it. I mean, I
it's just really understanding how you feel so you can process it.
Lord. That was the last part of the Droematic podcast. Y'all got me stuttering. Talking about ass play. Fuck that. Hey, big shout out to Droematic E. We're going to close this one out. Thank y'all all for coming. See y'all in the next episode. Cut.
Enjoy
cut. And cut.
I was ready.
Right, you were ready. Because a lot of masculine guys don't. You know, like when it comes to like boobs and stuff, but like.
You've just listened to the Droematic Show podcast with your host Droematic.